Hey folks, this is my first demo recording trying out my new microphone and some of the editing software that I have. I figure it's about time that I try to do a full playthrough of something just for practice for myself and getting used to recording some of these videos and editing them. But if this turns out well, if I manage to make this entertaining, we happen to have a good game here, then perhaps I'll go ahead and post it on the channel just for kicks. So what I'm playing today is Overwatch, and it's a game that I've been playing very frequently for a while. If you're not familiar with it, it is a game that is created by Blizzard Entertainment, and while I want to call it a shooter, which it technically is, it brings a lot of aspects to shooter games that a lot of other typical shooters do not. So you're not necessarily responsible for going out and killing as many people as you possibly can. As a matter of fact, it's kind of the contrary, where it requires a vast amount of teamwork, and you need not only people who play very good damage per second characters, but you need people to protect you, you need people to heal you, and you even need people who have very unique utility abilities, because depending on what you're trying to accomplish, maybe you're trying to take a King of the Hill point, or maybe you're trying to push a payload across the map. The characters that you want to pick will vary drastically. And that's what I really like about this game, because every game you end up with new comps on both teams. I also might chime in on our voice chat if this team happens to also have a couple of players with microphones. So you may hear me talking to the other team. You may actually hear the other team talking on the volume as well. So don't be surprised if you hear a couple of extra voices. So I want to do the bare bones, just kind of work through what we're trying to accomplish here. It looks like we're trying to push a payload, and this is the phase where we all get to show who we want to pick. And the nice thing about this game, which I think is really important compared to other games, is if you happen to pick a bad team combination, you have the opportunity to switch your heroes. And I think that's really helpful. It's really healthy for the game community, so you don't have people quit immediately and say, oh, you guys suck, you just picked a bunch of heroes that, you know, aren't good for this map. So far so good. I happen to pick a character that does a decent amount of tanking, so I'm going to be protecting people, but since this is an attack point, I also have a couple of good attack abilities that make me a good offensive hero as well.
Think you can keep up with me? I need healing.
Looks like some people are still thinking about what they want to pick.
4, 3, 2, 1. Attack commencing.
So you'll notice that there's this vehicle right here. The idea of this particular map is to get this vehicle pushed all the way to the end, and it moves forwards and backwards like a tug of war depending on how many players are close to it. And you'll notice I'm being riddled with bullets, so I'm trying to keep my shield up and protect people. I also have that ability to jet away or into the fray depending on the situation, which is really good for survival and a great offensive ability as well. And this is a very hard corner to turn. You'll notice that their team is all kind of clumped up there, and we're just trying to pick them off one by one. And we even have a turret up over to the right, which I'm going to try to take out. Alright, so we got that turret. Those can be very hard to take out, but when you have an ability like that, again, it's less about being the best player and more about playing your role. So as long as you see what you need to accomplish and you know what other teammates picked, we can be really cohesive like this. Looks like all my teammates just died. So here I'm just going to be defensive and try to keep the payload moving. So you'll notice I have this big button right in front of my interface. And that was my ultimate. Unfortunately, I got killed, so now I'm out of my armor and I'm much weaker. But I can go ahead and explain both of those ultimates in a minute. The nice thing about being out of my armor is I'm actually a lot more accurate. So it changes the way this hero works. There we go, so I have my armor back, have a lot more health, and I still have my ultimate. And the idea is to try to drop it right in the middle of the enemy. It takes a couple of seconds to explode, but anybody within the blast radius ends up dying immediately. So it can be good for strategic points. And I'll go ahead and just use it now. Oh, it looks like we got a triple kill. Nice. Couple of people trying to get behind us. That's good. So we killed more than half of their team, so we should be able to freely push this to the next checkpoint here, which is right at this door. You also notice that a couple of other teammates are using their ultimates here, which is keeping me alive. There's no way I could just stand there and take that many hits without being healed. Just trying to be defensive. Start picking off the enemy one by one again. And I'm going to try to keep an eye out for that turret. There it is. Since my character does a really good job of running up to those and killing them without taking too much damage. Got my ultimate again, so we'll just use it. Doesn't look like we hit anybody there. And we're running out of time, so I'm going to try to hold the point as long as I can. Hopefully my allies will show up. They're just trying to knock me off at this point. Still on it though. Oh, hopefully somebody will show up. And at this point, we're just trying to desperately make sure that at least one person is there. Otherwise, the other team gets their shot, and we don't get to push this any further. And we really are right here. If we can just slow these guys down a tiny bit, we'll get some extra time. Still trying to take care of that turret. Okay, so I got a little aggressive, and it looks like a couple of other people were off the point, so as soon as I moved off, we lost that one. I'll be kicking myself for that. I should have been a little more defensive. So now that we're on defense, we have to accomplish what the other team was doing, which is to stop the team that's moving the payload from getting all the way to the end of the map. For now, I'm going to pick the same character just because we do need tanks, and I think statistically I was doing pretty good. And typically you want to have two sort of support, or I would say specialist DPS characters, 2 tanks and 2 heals. Usually that's the best comp in the current matches right now. And we have a couple of trolls in chat, which is always fun, so feel free to read their comments and see what they want to complain about. But for the most part, the community that plays this game is really nice. And I'm a little sad that nobody's talking in this match, because I would say more than half the time there's a group of people who have microphones, they want to communicate. It makes the game so much easier when you can let people know what's working and what's not. Yeah, stats look pretty good. So you'll notice at the bottom here,
Think you can keep up with me?
depending on whether or not you're first, second, or third on your team in these particular statistics, you get gold, medal, or silver. So you'll notice it's an objective map, and I spend a lot of objective time trying to protect people.
One.
So it looks like I'm playing my role as best I can.
Stop pain.
Time to raise my DPS.
Have to watch out for that Reinhardt. He has this charge where if he happens to connect with you, he smashes you against the wall, and it's almost an instant kill for most characters.
Failing out.
You kind of see that they're trying to take cover here and set up some turrets, kind of establish themselves so they can start pushing forward.
Game on.
And they're doing a really good job of spreading out too, which can be very helpful. Because if you don't necessarily know where you're being hit from, you spend more time trying to find the person that's shooting you than you do actually defending yourself. Getting a little aggressive, it looks like a couple of my teammates died.
Pass into the iris.
You can really tell that they're doing a good job because their ultimates are charging very quickly, and that's all based on how much healing or damage you're doing, depending on what character you are. It all adds up. So if you perform well, that can really compound with your allies. It makes it a lot easier. I'm gonna try to land my ultimate here. Try to clean them out of that corner.
She's down. Get through this.
I think one of the things that we need to try to do here is get behind them, because they're all just kind of in a ball hiding behind that car, and it's very easy for them to just kind of stand there and use it as cover and push it. You'll notice we even have people getting behind us right here, so maybe I'll go ahead and take care of that. Took a big hit.
Shoot you down.
Hopefully somebody's going to help me out.
Heal fast.
Alright, so it looks like we pushed him back. And at this point, it's to our advantage to spread out, make sure that they don't use our ultimates on us, and put the pressure on the people who are just running up one by one. I think I'm gonna wait for him to bunch up again before I use my ultimate here. Use it as an emergency if they happen to start taking control at that point. Whoops. Alright, so I made a bad decision. I just took a huge rack to the face. It looks like we're doing better. We're definitely pushing them back. Have to be careful of these enemies that are up here in the crow's nest. There we go. Alright, so we're holding them back. We actually might pull off a victory here. Just gonna drop my ult and hope they hit somebody. There we go. So that's a typical ranked match of Overwatch. And again,
To 0.
more than anything, I'm just kind of doing this as an opportunity to do a full recording of something. I'll get to play with some of my editing software to see if I can clean it up a little bit. We'll see if the quality's nice. And hopefully I'll get used to the constant commentary and I can say, oh hey, I got play in the match. So a little special something for all of you guys if I do happen to post this. Hopefully the commentary was interesting. I think there are, plenty of people who might be subscribing to my channel, maybe watching a couple of these videos who have no idea what these games are. So this is a good idea for me to warm up, get used to talking, and catch you up with some of the games that I do really enjoy to play. So if I do post this, if I happen to post it, I'll do that typical YouTube plug where, if you like what you see, go ahead and like and subscribe to my channel in this video, and additionally provide any comments about what you think worked well or what you think would be cool to have on the channel. If there's something about this particular recording that sucks, like the audio or anything like that, just give me some feedback. The more practice I have and the more feedback I get, the more fun this is going to be. So I appreciate it if you're having the opportunity to watch this video, and thanks for taking the time to sit down and check out some of the new content that I'm trying to post. Take care. Bye.